Hello everybody and welcome to our virtual presentation on Year 9 options for this academic year. We hope that you're going to find this presentation useful. It's complemented by the options booklet that we have shared with parents and carers on their emails and the students themselves on their emails, and there's a copy of the booklet too on our website in our curriculum pages. The aim of the options presentation really for you here is to explain two things really. One, the rationale behind the options that we give to our students, and then also to explain about the practicalities and how they actually make and submit their options and what support is available for them. So I do hope you're going to find this useful. The aim of the curriculum that we offer at Key Stage 4 is all about raising the students' aspirations, to get them to want to be all that they can be and to meet and exceed their potential. Yes, it is about offering them a broad and balanced curriculum, and it is about preparing them for their GCSEs, but it's more than that. It's about building that knowledge base that's going to prepare them for further and higher educational study, and also prepare them for their life beyond school, which they may not continue after 18. And that's why we are offering a curriculum that is, for the majority of our students, for the majority of their time, ambitious and academic. Now, we aim to do this by offering our students the full suite of EBAC subjects, because that is what we believe will provide them with that very secure knowledge base that's therefore allowing us to raise their aspirations, to raise their knowledge both academically and culturally. For those of you that might not be aware, often there's this term used in education that's called the EBAC, which is short for the English Baccalaureate. It isn't really, well, it isn't in fact a qualification in and of itself, but instead it's a reflection of the suite of subjects that the government believe that all students should take, and we also feel that quite strongly at Bradfield School. It's about having an unashamedly high expectation of the academic content of our curriculum for all of our students, with the focus being on us doing all that we can as teachers and teaching assistants to ensure that all students can access an ambitious academic curriculum. So the suite of subjects that constitutes the EBAC, as you can see there on your screen, constitutes English, Maths and Sciences, and the science does include computer science, and then either geography or history, and one of our modern foreign languages. And the government stated aim is that by 2022, 75% of all students in English schools take the full range of EBAC subjects. When your children are choosing their options, there are a number of factors that they need to consider, in addition to considering which subjects they're going to take that do constitute that suite of subjects for their English Baccalaureate. Student enjoyment and having that element of choice are just as important in our eyes. Equally important in our eyes is ensuring that our curriculum offer is going to develop our students to be those well-informed citizens who are tolerant and who are well-rounded, and for us that is of equal importance to academic success, and I'll talk about that a little later when I talk about our offer for RE and the personal development of our students. We do know that what makes Bradfield School so fantastic is the wide range of subjects that students are able to choose from, and being able to choose subjects about which they feel very passionate, which is why of the choices that the students can make, 2 of them are entirely free option choices, and that allows for our students to have a small ability to have a degree of specialism alongside the broad and balanced range of subjects. So if you have students who really want to focus on the performing arts, then that's an option that's open to them. If you have got students who really want to focus on all things DT, then they've got a range of options that is open to them. So those 2 free option choices are where we really encourage students to choose with their hearts the things that they know that they feel they're going to be good at and that they are going to enjoy. There's certainly an argument to say that these choices of what subjects the students are going to take in Key Stage 4 are the first adult style choices that they're going to make in their lives to date. So it's very important that we are collectively working together to offer them a lot of support. One of the things that we emphasise to the students is that the choices should be theirs. They should not be influenced by their friends. They should not be influenced by the teachers that they have for those subjects this year, because they will not necessarily be the teachers who teach those subjects to them next year. And they should not be overly influenced by what parents and carers say. In other words, they should take all of the information that's available to them and use that to make their own choices. And what we would say to you as parents and carers is very much guide them, but do be guiding them to make the choices themselves. The students in form time are already currently listening to pitches from heads of subject to give them a little bit more of an insight into the subjects they can choose, and all teachers in their lessons will be happy to answer any subsequent questions. The options booklet, the students have a copy themselves as well as having one emailed home, and we will also be sharing this presentation with them too. The support of yourselves as parents and carers is really important, to really kind of question them with thoroughness about why they're feeling they want to make the choices that they do. And for students who really need that little bit of extra guidance, some of them identified by ourselves, but equally if students want to request that, then they can through their form tutors from next week. We will be interviewing all students that feel that they need it, or we feel that they might need that little bit of extra guidance. Often we find that that is simply about offering them reassurance, probably saying to them exactly the same things that parents and carers will have been saying at home, and it just allows them to kind of crystallise their thinking in their mind and ensure that they're making the right choices. Timeline there that we've shared with you earlier this term is nice and straightforward. The deadline really is Friday the 8th of January for the vast majority of students to be handing in those forms. They are going to get a paper copy in form time next week, so week beginning the 7th of December, as well as the one that is on the options booklets that have been emailed out, as I've already detailed earlier in this presentation. The subject parents evening is on the 26th of January. That will go ahead despite the global pandemic. It will be something that we run virtually. There will be a very limited availability to alter options at that point, because we will have already started the work on putting the timetable together. However, we did want to kind of leave that open in very extreme circumstances where actually the outcomes from that parents evening may change one or two people's minds, but that will be a very limited opportunity. The point of the parents evening is to inform you about the progress of the students. Our aim is to notify parents and carers and the students themselves about final choices towards the end of April. And as we've already detailed in the information that we've sent out, there is a live question and answer via Zoom with myself and Mr. May on the Monday the 7th of December between 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and details were on the letter that we sent out. So that explains to you some of the rationale and a little bit about the process, and I'll talk more about the process shortly. What I want to do now is outline for you the actual choices that the students can make and what their Key Stage 4 curriculum is going to look like. So there's a core curriculum at Key Stage 4 that students do not opt for. This is something that we put in place for them, and they do not make their options about their English, Maths and Science. We did just want to explain to you how the two-year programme works, however. For English, that is a subject with which you come out with two separate GCSEs, one in English and one for English literature. And that is why for the vast majority of our students in Year 10 and Year 11, they will have 5 hours a week of English. And the English teachers themselves make the distinction between when they're studying English and when they're studying English literature, because many of the skills do hugely overlap. In Year 10, all students will have 4 periods a week of mathematics, and that leads to 1 qualification. And also in Year 10, all students are following the separate sciences, which allows them to have specialist teaching in biology and chemistry and physics. For the vast majority of our students, they will continue with those 3 separate sciences, triple science, as the students themselves often call it, in Year 11. However, you can see on the bottom line of that table there are some students in Year 11, and we make this decision at the end of Year 10 in conjunction with the students and parents yourselves about if there are some students whom for science the combined approach might actually be the preferred option, so that they come out with a dual award, 2 sciences. You can see the impact of that would mean that students in Year 11 that were on this pathway would do science 4 times a week, and that would free up space in their curriculum to have 1 period a week extra in their English compared to other Year 11 students, and compared to the Year 11 students on the triple science pathway in Year 11, 1 extra period of mathematics. And that therefore allows us to support those students who need that level of support actually in curriculum time rather than during twilight or revision sessions. As well as the core, the students then get to choose 3 options. Now, one of those options is a slightly guided options, and that is aimed at ensuring that all students have got that kind of broad base of an academic curriculum. So for one of their option subjects, they can choose between those suite of subjects that comprise the EBAC that we were talking about earlier. So they're choosing between geography and history and computer science and French and Spanish. Their other 2 option subjects, they have complete free choice. So they can select again from those EBAC suite of subjects, but there are also other subjects from which they can choose. And I'll share what those are on subsequent slides. They include all of the existing subjects that are studied at Key Stage 3, plus some new ones. Now, they are mainly traditional GCSEs, but there are also some of the vocational qualifications. And again, I'll talk about those shortly. What you can see on the screen here then, when you're looking at where we've colour coded and called things A, B and C, that relates to the number of lessons each week that they will be studying their option subjects. And what you can see is that if a subject in Year 10 is studied for 3 hours a week, then in Year 11 that will be studied for 2 hours a week, and vice versa. If that subject is studied for 2 hours a week in Year 10, they will then get 3 hours a week in Year 11. And that is so that we can maximise the number of subjects that can be delivered during a 25 period week. The things then that constitute the rest of the students' timetable in Year 10, they get 2 hours a week for non-GCSE subjects. One of those is for RE, and that's a statutory requirement for all schools in the country that there is RE provision right through to the end of Year 11. And then you've also got 1 period a week of personal development. And that, if you remember early in the presentation, I talked about one of the aims of our curriculum at Bradfield is to develop those well-rounded, well-informed, tolerant citizens who are well-informed also about careers and those kinds of things too. And that's what will be delivered during personal development. Now you'll see on the option form, and I'll share it with you in a moment, that students can, if they wish, opt for a further GCSE that would be building on either the RE that's delivered during the core week or the personal development delivered during the core week. And students can therefore also opt to study GCSE RE or GCSE citizenship, and they will be building on those hours that I've just described with RE or personal development, but they will be also delivered during a twilight after school that wouldn't be optional, it would be part of the student's timetable. The final thing that compromises the Key Stage 4 Timetable for our students is that all students continue with their core PE, so they've all got that statutory entitlement to an hour's physical education. Again, that is a non-examined part of their week, and that is also there including for those students that might opt for GCSE PE or vocational PE, so that's the core PE, and that together is what constitutes rather the students' timetable during Key Stage 4. So in summary, so that you can see it all together, that's what it looks like for the students, that they are studying 2 GCSEs in English language and English literature, 1 GCSE in maths, and the students do not choose those as part of the options process. That's core. Similarly, core and not chosen as part of the GCSE process are the triple biology, chemistry and physics, but that there is an element of further discussion with science at the end of year 10, where some students may end up doing double combined science instead of the triple, freeing up for them time during the working week for support with English and maths. They then have those option choices from those EBAC suite of languages and then 2 completely free choices, and that if they wish they can opt for GCSE citizenship or RE that will be delivered in those twilight lessons in an hour after school, but that do build on the elements of the statutory personal development and RE that are delivered during the week. You'll see there right at the bottom that for a very few students on a case-by-case basis, some students might have a very reduced number of GCSEs and in some cases alternate provision, but that's not something we offer as an option. That would be something that would be done in discussion with the student and always with the parents and carers. So you've got all of the option subjects here for you, and again this is what the option booklet makes clear, the content of each of these different subjects. You'll see that there is a range of GCSEs and BTECs, and I want to start by just kind of clearing up for you the differences between the two. The majority of GCSEs now end in 100% terminal examinations for all our students. There are some exceptions to this that the options booklets will guide you through, where for instance in some of the practical subjects such as drama or art, you have got an element of coursework, but the majority of GCSEs these days end up with those 100% terminal examinations. The difference with the BTEC actually is it gives the students a different experience of school because you have got a huge amount of non-examined assessment in those BTECs. So it's not really about there being a qualitative difference between GCSEs being really difficult and BTECs being easy. That's not the case at all. It's about the way they are examined, and we hugely recommend students of all abilities to be considering BTECs because what it does, it gives them a qualitative different feel to their working week when they know that they are working on their non-examined assessment pieces that are going to count towards their final exam grades. The booklets, as I say, give more detail, but I just want to be really clear that I don't want students themselves or parents and carers to think that BTECs are the easy option. They are an option that are comparative in difficulty, but it's the method of examination that's actually different. Again, just to make sure that we're really clear on a couple of things, students, when they are choosing their two free options, have still got a couple of things to bear in mind. If they are wanting to do GCSE Design and Technology and GCSE Engineering, then they can't. They can only pick one or the other, and that's because the government deem them to be too similar in content. Similarly with GCSE PE or the BTEC in the first award in sport, so the BTEC in PE, students can only choose one or the other. And finally, just to make sure I'm as clear as I can be, that there is that further option to study GCSE citizenship or GCSE RE delivered through the twilight, building on the statutory element during the working week. Students do not have to choose these, but they can if they wish. And so finally, looking at the option form. Now, just to be really clearly, when you're looking at the form together, and I'm showing you a third of the form here, altogether the students have to have 3 ticks on their returned form. Okay, now it might well be that students decide that they want all 3 of their option choices to come from the EBAC section of the form, and that's absolutely fine. They can completely do that. So if you have a student that wants to do French and geography and history, then that's where their 3 ticks will be, and they don't need to tick anything on the bit of the form that I will show you next. But all students in this part of the form must choose at least one of these subjects. So on this part of the form is where the students have got their other choices. Now, as I've already said, if they've made their 3 choices entirely from the EBOC part of the form, then that's absolutely fine and they leave this part of the form blank. If they've made 1 tick in the EBAC part of the form, which is the minimum, then they're making 2 more choices for any from the selection here, with the limitations that I discussed earlier. If they have put 2 ticks in the EBAC part of the form, then they're going to put 1 tick here, so that in total all students have got 3 choices that they've made. And then the final part of the form are these boxes here. The part in pink, the optional additional GCSE, students do not have to choose this if they do not want to, but if they do, then they can select 1. If you remember, as we've already explained, then they will have an hour of core RE anyway as part of their core curriculum, and they will have an hour of personal development as part of their core curriculum. What these twilight sessions do is they allow those skills and knowledge bases to be developed further into a full either GCSE RE or GCSE citizenship, and there are details of both of those courses in the options booklet along with all of the others. So students do not have to choose 1 from these, but if they want to, then they are just only choosing 1. And this is the only way that you can do a GCSE RE or a GCSE citizenship. And then finally, our intention is that the vast majority of students will get all of their first choices, but in reality that usually runs to somewhere around the 90%. That is simply because of one of the following 2 reasons. Either a course is unpopular and not enough students choose it and therefore it doesn't run, or the converse, too many students choose it and there are not enough specialist staff therefore to be able to deliver that subject. So in either of those cases, it is a very good idea for students to spend some considerable time thinking about what their reserve choice is, just in case that first choice is not available to them. We will always discuss with students and usually with parents and carers too, where we are in that scenario where we might need to go to second choices. So it is really important that students spend just as much time considering what they want their reserve subject to be, because it needs to be a subject that they are feeling happy with. And finally, you need to make sure that you are returning this form to your form tutor by Friday the 8th of January. And as I say, they will be given a paper copy during one of their form times, week beginning Monday the 7th of December. And there's also the one that's attached to the option booklet that's been emailed to the students, to yourselves as parents and carers, and is also available on our website. I do hope that this has been useful for you. Obviously you can now, the benefit really of doing things in a virtual world is that you can replay the presentation as many times as you think is useful, but there is that opportunity to join in the Zoom live Q&A on Monday the 7th of December. Thank you very much for listening.